I would be happy to respond to any of your questions, as would any of these folks here with me.
Governor, you keep using the word transformative. Could you give us an example of a transformative project that really helps explain to people what you mean when you say something that is not just a project, it's transformative?
Well, these stimulus resources will enable us to do projects, quite frankly, that perhaps would never have been completed without these resources. Just as an example, the work that's going to be done near Children's Hospital. We believe that that project has the potential to transform that region of this city. I know the mayor has said so, as well as other community leaders have expressed that thought, that because of these resources and because our ability, we have the ability to expend them in these ways, that that will potentially transform a section of our city that is in great need of economic development and renewal. But that's just one example. Some of the work that we hope to do at the port in Toledo, we believe will have a potentially transforming effect upon the ability of that port to become much more significant in the shipping of goods, and will enable that port to grow in ways that it perhaps would not have been able to grow and develop without these particular resources.
Governor, maybe you or the director, when will the money actually start being spent? When will it arrive from Washington?
Yes, Director, they want to know when the money is actually going to be spent immediately.
When is it? Is it here or when is it coming?
Excuse me. We have the obligation to use 50% of the money that we're obligated. Obligated means that we identify the project, we get a proposal out the door, and we identify who will be doing the work. And the money will be reimbursed to the department as we pay the bills, and it will be a reimbursement process, which is the normal process with Federal Highway Administration.
When would you expect some of this to start then?
As soon as the first contracts are signed, and that has to be in the first 120 days, and we have at least 50%, $327.5 million, will have to be obligated by June 22nd.
Legislative approval of spending authority to do that? Is that in the budget?
What we are proposing is that we accept these proposals as they come in the door from the vendors, who are the people who want to have the work, and this investment will then be paid for by the existing funds of the department, and then it will be reimbursed.
These projects will be paid for through the existing Department of Transportation procedures.
Governor, is this the final list, or do these need any more approval? These projects.
This is the final list for this amount of money. Now there'll be other stimulus dollars that will be coming to Ohio for water systems and sewer systems and the like, but this is the final list for the transportation projects.
Governor, these projects are supposed to be shovel ready. I'm curious about the Interbelt Bridge project in Cleveland specifically. How does it meet that requirement? My understanding was there was more engineering and preliminary work that needed to be done there.
You know, I'm going to ask, you know, we have our engineer here and our director, but I'll try to answer, and if I'm not giving a complete answer or accurate answer, please embellish. But we are planning to proceed with that project using a design-build approach, which will enable us to begin that work very quickly and to proceed rather rapidly. Is that correct, Mr. Engineer?
Yes, sir.
Director, I might have missed this, but if you could put, maybe you already said this, could you put this amount of spending in some historical context? A total of 2.8 billion, I think you said was going to be spent, if you include the new money, is that the most Ohio will spend in the last, is that the most we've ever spent in 2 years, or 4 years, or 10 years, or 20 years, or is it not? I mean,
It will be a historic spending level. As I testified before the legislature, we've had the last 2 years have been historic, 1.4 and 1.6. But when you take in only 15 months, that over $2.8 billion will be invested, I think it gives you a sense of the kind of impact that we're going to have in this state, not only in cities and counties, but as regions are impacted by some of these major projects. It's really going to put people to work, but it's also going to transform our state.
So it's the most we've ever spent in that short time?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
The devil's in the details in planning something like this. On one hand, we hear that we need to spend this money quickly because there are some requirements to do that. Then could you address to the public what we can do to make sure that this is spent correctly and that the building is done in a quality manner?
Well, of course, the same quality standards that are incumbent upon our Department of Transportation on an ongoing basis will certainly be the same quality standards that will be followed for these stimulus projects as well. We're going to be transparent. I said we're going to have an Inspector General to oversee the use of these resources. We're going to be transparent in that all projects are going to be listed, identified online, and I think we are taking perhaps unprecedented steps to make sure that the public understands what we're doing, how it's being done, under what circumstances, and we're going to be as open and as transparent as it is possible to be in the use of these resources for two reasons. First of all, it's the right thing to do, and secondly, we have certain federal requirements that we certainly will adhere to, certain guidelines that we must follow to make sure that these resources are in fact spent for their intended purpose according to an appropriate timetable.